Welcome to Detroit Unspun TV. I'm coming to you from the gorgeous, sunny Milliken State Park in downtown Detroit, and this is a groundbreaking episode, and you'll find out why as we dig into the details. So sit down, put away the mouse, and enjoy the next edition of Detroit Unspun TV. In headlines this week, if you ever find yourself out in Orange County, California, be sure to head over to the Detroit Bar. Karen Dybus talked with the owner about the things he's inspired about that can be found only here in the Motor City. It's a pretty interesting read and a great place to go if you're out in California and want a little Detroit flavor. And normally in our headlines segment, I start focusing on the rest of the stories that are in our blog, but this week's a little bit different. As I said in the top of the show, this is a groundbreaking episode, and it really is, because a lot of new retail is breaking ground in Detroit this week, from mom and pop shops to big chain stores. And as somebody who's lived in the city of Detroit for a little bit more than a decade, it's really good to see that not only the city of Detroit, but the region is benefiting from these new retail establishments. And our first story today focuses on the Whole Foods announcement and the Meijer announcement that not only benefit the city of Detroit, but also the region, including Ferndale as well. Here's the story.
Okay. 2, 3.
Back. Detroit can't do this alone. What we've seen here for a long time, since I've been in this city for 46 years, is 8 Mile has been the divider between southeastern Michigan. And I think what you're doing here today will collaborate that no longer does 8 Mile have to be the dividing line.
Been in this job, which is about 11 years now. The most frequent requests for retailers that weren't in Detroit, that people wanted to move in, were 2 firms. One started with has the name Cheese in it, which is a cheesecake factory, and the other is Whole Foods. And I can't tell you how many times that I've been asked to bring a Whole Foods in, be it all the first ladies who I've served under in terms of the mayors, at my local barber shop, or just folks walking down the street. Anytime you go out and speak, they said Whole Foods was one of those firms that retailers, they said, we need a Whole Foods. Well, we finally did it.
For Midtown, it's definitely going to help us continue to boost investor confidence in this neighborhood. That's critical because we need a lot more development here to create that complete neighborhood that we're all talking about here in Detroit. It will also really help us attract more residential because a grocery store is an important, critical must-have for any redeveloping residential neighborhood. It'll keep more grocery dollars from the people throughout the city of Detroit in Detroit. And that's a big deal. That helps with taxes, it helps keep employment, helps build jobs. So those local jobs for Detroit residents, that's a big piece. Every time we can add in a new employer anywhere in downtown or midtown that has a commitment to local jobs, it's a big deal and it makes a big difference. It also plants a flag here in Midtown for a lot of other boutique regional businesses and entrepreneurs, our own backyard local retailers that are coming into Midtown on a regular basis, as well as other national retailers. We need all of those layers of retail to work in this corridor, downtown, Midtown, New Center, all of that. Really, Whole Foods coming here helps us with all that. And hooray for all of us. We're building on a vacant lot, okay? That's a big thing, okay? It's not like we have never built on one. I mean, the Ellington is a good example, but this is a large vacant lot. And anytime we can build a new building, again, to build that physical connection, again, right off our new transit line, is a really big deal for Detroit.
We need a Detroit where people want to raise their family. They're excited to say it's time to have people moving into Detroit to say they want to raise their kids here and their kids want to raise their kids here. And to do that, we need the best quality of life. And we need to continue working on things, public safety, transit, lighting, all those areas, but one of the key areas is shopping and having the best choices. And if you look at the opportunity here, it's fabulous. I'm excited because what was this before? Something not adding value. If you look at what it's going to become, it's great. And it's going to be an anchor not only for this spot, but look all around you. We have the fairgrounds. We have more opportunity. So this is truly an opportunity to be an anchor, to watch multiple neighborhoods come back and create that great quality of life, that environment. Because the best answer for all of us is not just about us, but creating that Detroit where our kids have a bright future and people not just in Michigan, but around the country say they not only want to work in Detroit, but they want to live in Detroit. So congratulations for your leadership, helping kick this process off, and let's build a great complex. Gateway Marketplace, let's go.
And coming up in just 1 week is the Movement Festival, and this is a groundbreaking festival in itself, even though it's been around for the last 10 years, because they're bringing international artists in to really perform music that was innovated here in the Motor City, and we couldn't think of any better people to go talk about the festival with than the guys over at Burst Radio. Movement 2012 is just around the corner, and we wanted to give you a little preview of what you could expect, and we thought there would be no better way to give a preview than to stop by Foreign's Grand Trunk Pub on a Sunday night to talk with the guys from Burst Radio. So here's our interview with Harley from Detroit, Mr. Jeffrey Woodward, and Immerse. So we're here with a couple of guys from Burst Radio, Harley from Detroit, Mr. Jeffrey Woodward, and Immerse. And just, you know, Movement's coming up. You guys are in the scene. You're always, I mean, this is what you guys do. So what are you doing that weekend? What are you recommending people do the weekend of Movement? I know you got a gig coming up, Harley.
Yes, I'll actually be right here. As a matter of fact, if you're here for on the Monday of Movement.
Right here at Foreign's Grand Trunk Pub.
Like a few feet away, I'll be playing.
Beautiful.
So, PSP is a bunch of guys. It is Ian Gibbons runs it now. A bunch of friends of ours, Daniel James, Trench, Mike Amarine coming in from, Trench is coming in from Seattle, Mike Amarine's coming in from Cleveland. So it's a bunch of people that lived around here in Michigan, and then we all kind of get together for that Monday. It's kind of like a reunion. A bunch of really, really good solid DJs. Jeff Johnson on there. I'll be playing, I think, 7 till 9:30.
Very nice.
And it's just, you know, cool, laid back. The food here is really good. Similar to what we do here.
Yeah.
Obviously all day. I've been doing it since the very first dem. This place was open when it was still free. People would, you know, wander out, come over here and get some food and listen, have a drink, and then wander back over there. So.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Mr. Woodward, what are you looking forward to this weekend at
What am I
Movement?
looking forward to? A lot of playing, really. I know on the 25th I'm doing the pre-dem barbecue over at the Beatnik Gallery. Then the next day on the 26th I'm doing the Ascension party with Eshan, Heather Hart, myself, and CDX on a 2x4 tag team. And it's going to blow up, and I think it's going to be definitely off the meat rack.
Very good.
Very nice. Yeah, I figured you'd like that.
Well, Immerse, tell me, if somebody's never been to Movement before, they're coming for the first time, what do they need to know?
Well, they need to know that the Technology Center is air-conditioned.
That is crucial.
That's the little area where all the manufacturers bring out all their newest toys and stuff. It's right across from the underground stage, and I actually have the honor of being Alan and Heath's DJ for the weekend, so I'm going to be playing there all weekend long. We're actually going to be streaming some audio, maybe not all of it, but some of it on our channel, and it'll be a really good time.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What does the festival, I mean, you guys have got the radio show here, Burst Radio, at Foreign's every Sunday night, and you're pulling in some, I mean, great DJs each week. What does the festival mean for a show like the one that you're putting on?
Well, part of the reason that we came to this spot, because this is really the fourth spot I've been with the two radio shows that I've done. Actually, fifth if we count the third radio show. But this spot in particular, if you look over my shoulder, that's where Demph is. That's Hart Plaza is 2 blocks that way. Campus Marsh is right here. This is the heart of it. So when you come here, it evokes a certain memory. This is the heart of where it all goes down. This is, if you were here in 2000, the first festival, and you went over the festival and you came over here, like I said, and had a drink and had some food, and then went back and forth. This is the. It's like I equate it to like Mecca. If you're into techno, Memorial Day weekend, this is where you belong. Even if I won't actually be able to go to the festival this year because I'm working a bunch of different after parties. Even if you don't go to Hart Plaza, you need to be here that weekend because you can see Derek May spin, Kevin Saunderson, Juan Atkins, like I said, Trench, all the locals. This is the heart. If you want to find out what techno's about, be here that weekend.
But it seems like the after parties this year are stacked. I mean, there's a ton of good stuff happening with the after parties. Even the official ones look pretty interesting this year. So
yeah, I'll be working at a handful of them. I'm not sure which ones just yet. I go where they pay me. But yeah, the benefit is you get a lot of people that are actually playing the festival that play a couple of the after parties. A lot of them just kind of show up. But I know I was speaking with some of the DJs. I worked on the stages before, a stage manager, and I was talking with some of the DJs, and the guys that come here and play at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, to almost nobody. They go in and they're excited to play their set, but they're excited to be here for that weekend. They go to after parties and they get to go see, all these amazing different shows, and ranging from $5 shows to $50 shows. And the experience that you can pack into that weekend, you can't get anywhere else. I mean, it's not the same as Ultra, it's not the same as Ibiza, of Love Parade. It's very uniquely Detroit, and it's very unique to that weekend. I tell people that, I was talking to a friend of mine from Philadelphia who wanted to move here after spending the festival weekend. I said, you got to understand, come Tuesday we're back to normal, and then, this place is going to be abandoned. But for that one weekend, it's the only place to be in the world.
Yeah. And then you get to actually see like the flavor of Detroit. I mean, for those who've been, out of town and like never experienced it, and you get to see some of the locals and come in and you're like, damn, I didn't know he could throw down like that. I didn't know she could throw down like that. Or I didn't know he could throw down like that. Well, then again, I don't know if you can still throw down like that. But,
no idea.
But I mean, but it's a good way to actually, see what Detroit is all about.
Yeah.
I mean, for people who put down Detroit on a regular basis, I mean, look, honestly, this is our week to shine, musically. I mean, some people may say, and I've said it from time to time, that, Detroit sometimes is a musical Jonestown because everybody all drinks the Kool-Aid. But this time of the year, it's like, okay, well, Kool-Aid be damned. Everybody go for a different flavor.
Right.
And then after Tuesday or Monday or whenever it ends, pass the Kool-Aid around. Here's yours.
Time to drink again.
Here's yours. Let's see who's the last one standing.
Back to dubstep and rap.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Why the did you go there, man? Shut up.
Well, as you may be aware, if anyone wants to educate themselves, they can go to thehomeofdubstep.com.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really good website. Yeah.
You saw what we did there.
You've been sharing. That's pretty nice. Now, for me, the last couple of years, there have been some really interesting stuff, like Toki Monster a couple of years ago just kind of blew me away. Last year, what the Detroit Techno Militia did with the 4 DJs spin it all at once. You see some stuff here that you're not going to see anywhere else. What's one of those things that you've seen in the last couple of years that's just sticking out in your mind? Anything like that? Any performance like that?
There's so many good ones. I actually took a year off, and I got to see. I got to just go and see a bunch of different stuff. Chris Liebling stands out. Derek May on the was the Torino stage, which is the Made in Detroit stage now. He was a standout. Plastic Man live was definitely a standout. That was an amazing show. I got when I was working on the stages, I got to see Clark Warner open on a first thing in the morning. That was really cool. Guy Gerber plays an amazing set. He's playing again, I think, with Seth Troxler this year. That would be something worth checking out. There's just been probably the biggest the most amazing thing I remember was the very first one on Monday, because it had been raining all weekend, and we were all like in our hoodies, and it was still we were happy to be there, but it was kind of a miserable weekend. It was just constantly raining, and hearing DJ Rolando playing Knights of the Jaguar the first year it came out, and hearing that kind of ring through, and he played Strings of Life, played all the classics that the guys didn't, and then Derek May right after him, and D Win, and then right before when Derek May was playing, like it stopped raining a little bit, and then Richie Cotton started playing his set, and closing the Monday closing slot of the last festival. All the other stages are closed. Everybody's there. It's all everybody who'd been there from the beginning. Everybody who was everybody was in that spot. And the clouds moved out, and it just became nice out. Everybody kind of took the hoodies down. He started up. He opened up with Gravitational Arch, and it gave me chills, and it was just magic. And everybody was there, and there was no fights. There was no craziness, and we were all just enjoying it. And he played an amazing set. That to me is the epitome of what that is about. That particular moment, and every year I go back. That's the moment that I'm looking for. Sometimes you get close to it, other times not. But that's what it's all about. And that was the unity of it. That was kind of the end. That marked the end of what was before that, and the beginning of the festival. The age of the festival.
If you think of Eastern Market as just a place to go for fresh fruit and fresh vegetables on the weekend, the people over at the Detroit Mercantile Company are hoping you'll change your mind. Their groundbreaking new store is located over in the Firehouse Lofts, and they're a welcome addition to the Eastern Market District. Here's the story.
Well, the idea of the store came from a joint love of old Detroit.
Well, we started talking about it probably right around the holidays, right around Christmas time. We hooked up with Robert at the Rust Belt Market up in Ferndale. We had a booth up there that was always right next to his booth. And we always admired the stuff that he did, and came to find out he kind of liked the way we did our stuff and merchandising and the kind of product. So we both were trying to figure out a way to do we didn't realize we were both trying to figure out how to do a storefront, and then we started talking about it, and it made sense to try and combine our efforts. And then it blew up into a little bit more than just our stuff. We said, well, why don't we add this? What if we did this? And all of a sudden it turns into the Mercantile.
The Eastern Market makes sense for us because it's really the ever-beating heart of retail in Detroit, and it's been going continuously for 120 plus years. And when other retail grew up and dried up over the years for obviously the many reasons that it did, the Eastern Market continued to operate and continued to be a great example of old Detroit architecture and of functioning retail markets here.
And as Robert says, it's an area. We really want to feed the Detroit community and be there for them. But the Eastern Market is also a place that a lot of people from the suburbs, if there's one place that they're going to come shop in Detroit, we get them down here. So hopefully we can get some people from the suburbs down here and get them more comfortable shopping down here, and try and show them there's a lot of other great reasons to come to Detroit, and this is a good place to be to do that.
The placement of the store really kind of echoes one of the missions of the store, which is to be a point of connection for people to interesting Detroit and Michigan items and companies and stories. And if we, like Robert said, if we're dealing with, if we start out dealing with the people who are already comfortable driving south of 8 Mile, the 45,000 people who weekly venture to Eastern Market and are comfortable doing so, and we can get a foot in the door with them, we may really be able to do something here to change how people think of Detroit as a shopping destination.
We've had people come down here that have been, that are, senior Detroit citizens, 70, 80, 90-year-old people that have come through, and a lot of what we have in the store reminds them of, different times in Detroit that they're growing up and see things. But then we get people all the way down into their, mid to late teens that are just starting to discover things about the city. And they learn a lot about what's going on around them and what has gone on around them. So there's a little bit of something in here at every age group, and whether it's singles, whether it's someone trying to outfit a loft in the city of Detroit, or someone who lives up in Clarkston or Lake Orion or wherever, and comes down here, every once in a while, but still has maybe they've got a connection through their family or their parents or grandparents to the city. So I'm really not targeting. I don't think we're targeting one specific kind of person. No. It's really anybody who's got an appreciation for the city and for the state and for history and for revitalizing this region and this area. That's who we're really going after.
It takes what we're doing here beyond a Detroit museum that also sells T-shirts into a real place where people can grab a hold of stuff. They can learn about record labels and bookstores and companies producing products here, and then go see everything that they do. They can see a sampling of Detroit and Michigan books from BookBeat, but can learn about BookBeat and go there, or a bicycle that was made by a company like Detroit Bicycle Company, a local company, and then go and learn more and dig deeper. We want the customers' experiences with these products and brands to begin here and end elsewhere. And then hopefully they'll come back here looking for the next one. Well, the first rule in our store is that absolutely everything in here is for sale. The counters, the fixtures, if somebody wants them and has a checkbook big enough, everything, literally everything except the walls and the floor are for sale in here, because the Jamesons are in the business of excavating Detroit and Michigan and have great sources for what we hope, what we anticipate to be an ever-changing assortment. But within the store, we do have a really broad range too.
Right. So if not everybody wants to buy a $3,800 copper bicycle or a $4,000 vintage map of the city of Detroit, but we do. Just a couple things I picked up after you asked that. One of the suppliers that we have here that we're really proud of is French Paper, out of Niles, Michigan. They're the oldest family-owned paper company in the country. They're on their 6th generation of French. I think it's 6, so if they see this, hopefully I'm not wrong. I think it's 6. They're in Niles, Michigan. They do a whole line of, mostly they sell to graphic designers and print shops that want to use their bulk paper. But they also do a line of paper products like gift cards or greeting cards, note cards. This is a pack of them, of gift cards, and it's 16 cards for $15. So you can get something, greeting cards like that. Another company that we sell that we're proud of, it's not a Detroit or Michigan company, but it's an American-made company called American Optical, who are really one of the founders in the optical industry in the United States. They made some of the first pairs of aviator sunglasses for the military, and they started with the military back in World War I and World War II. So we have a pair of these, American-made aviator glasses, and I don't have a tag on them, but I think they're like $79, $80. So we really have, and we've got there's some Tootsie Toy metal cars over there, a couple bucks a piece. So literally, you come in here with, $2 or $3, $5 in your pocket, or if you come in here with, $2 or $3,000 in your pocket, there is something.
You can take home a piece of Detroit.
You can take home a piece of Detroit or Michigan or just history. So there's a little something for everything. We have a lot of free things in the store as well. One of the local companies we're partnered with is Beehive Recording Studio. It's a Detroit company, and their mission is they actually record and provide music for local record artists for free. And we have a listening station that's right now filled with 20 different Beehive recording artists, between 2 and 4 different songs per artist. And along with that, we have a QR code for each song or each artist. And if you like what you hear, you can actually download it to your smartphone right from the store, 100% free.
There is, even just we hope that people will come in the store, just to see it and to be moved by what moves them here. And if they, like Robert said, if they can't afford a $3,800 copper-plated bike, that's just fine.
Right.
They can get in touch with Detroit and Michigan here, and maybe get an idea for somebody, find something really unique.
Right.
Michigan State University is doing a lot of research into how to take urban fields of weeds like this and turn them into productive places to grow crops. And Detroit is the perfect place for this urban agriculture research. Natalia brings us this story.
We are with Dr. Rick Foster. He is the director of the Michigan State University's Greening Michigan Institute. And what's extremely exciting is that they've proposed building an urban agriculture research center in the city of Detroit. Dr. Foster, thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, Natalia. It's good to be here.
So tell us, what is the goal of this project?
Well, the goal of the project is to look at the future of Detroit, look at what has been our liability in abandonment and blighted conditions, and how do we turn that into a condition where we look at a future where we grow our own food in a high-quality way that is equitable and that is affordable and green.
So give our viewers a little bit more understanding of what urban agriculture means.
Well, urban agriculture, we use the word actually metropolitan agriculture, but urban agriculture generally means agriculture and food that is grown within a city's limit. We are looking at the global applications of this work, and the global applications we think is when the food is grown in the city, around the city, and even between cities. So the rural areas around Detroit are as equally important in growing food for the city as is the internal resources. So we use metropolitan.
Okay, so speaking of Detroit, why is this city a good place to start a project like this?
Well, Detroit is like many other cities around this country in that it's a post-industrial city where much of the urban core has been hollowed out. People have moved to suburbs and left sometimes blighted conditions. And the way that we think that we can start to assist in the development and the redevelopment of such cities is to utilize abandoned lands for food or for energy or for returning to nature, and use abandoned buildings for vertical agricultural structures to grow food in an indoor setting. And I think this is going to be the future of not only Detroit, but many global cities around the world.
Vertical agriculture sounds kind of George Jetson-y to me. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it could be a little George Jetson in ways, because the people who are employed in this are not your common agricultural workers as we know them. Actually, they have to have science and technology skills. They have to have monitoring and regulatory skills because of the environmental controls, of the heat, of the nutrient movement, those sorts of things. The kinds of systems that have been developed thus far have primarily been in Europe, and they've been intensive growing in indoor systems that controls energy and water. If I could suggest, the future in the 21st century is that the issues that we will need to contend with as a globe, as a planet, is about food, energy, and water. And if we can get them where they are integrated in indoor systems, we all of a sudden can grow more food and do it with less energy and less water than we currently use. And that's going to be good for the planet.
I couldn't agree more. Now, I understand one of your other goals is to collaborate with some community partners in Detroit. Obviously, there's a lot already happening here. So how do you plan to do that?
Well, Detroit is a very exciting place right now. There's a lot of community-based urban agriculture going on in the garden space and small commercial ventures, etc. We hope to establish a small footprint for Michigan State University as an innovation center here. But we think that the real innovation actually happens in community. And so we want to be partners with those who are in the community garden area, in the commercial area, those who have hoop houses, but also larger growers who will come into Detroit because the opportunity to grow food and market it is an important part of their strategy. So we look at a diverse set of economic models of local to commercial.
Now, does the Greening Michigan Institute have any other projects currently happening in the Detroit area?
Yeah, we do. We're looking at, we have a considerable number of projects to look at how we take food from farm to institutions. So, for example, we think that the Detroit Public Schools and their foresight have already decided to source as much of their food for children from local sources as they can. So one question would be is how do we link growers in the region with institutions who need the food? And we know that good health, so Detroit, the public health systems here, they have said many times that the first prescription to good health is good food. So how can we start to source locally grown foods to those institutions who benefit most from it? We think that's a ready-made market. It increases the quality of food that our kids and our elderly can utilize, but as importantly, it creates a demand, and we have an economic development impact from the ground up.
Well, Dr. Foster, this sounds so exciting and thrilling. We are so grateful for the work that you are doing, and we wish you luck with this urban agriculture effort. This is Natalia Petrozuk reporting from the News Hub at Eastern Market. Back to you, Dave.
Well, that does it for this groundbreaking edition of Detroit on Spun TV. My thanks to the maintenance man here at the Milliken State Park who decided to mow on the other side of the hill when he saw us shooting. Man, we really appreciate that type of consideration for the work we do. And we really appreciate the consideration you, the viewer, give us each week by liking, commenting, and sharing this video all over the internet. We really all do appreciate your efforts. Buena suerte, Detroit.